Admiral Novak would live to regret attacking Earth, his greatest mistake, as he drastically underestimated the ingenuity and defiant resolve of the human race he so arrogantly dismissed as primitive and inferior. Just months before, brilliant human scientist Bobby Porter had made a game-changing breakthrough in quantum entanglement communications, enabling near-instantaneous data transmission across vast interstellar distances. This revolutionary technology opened up incredible new possibilities for space exploration and rapid technological advancement. But it also caught the attention of the expansionist Voxari Empire. Led by the ruthless Admiral Novak, the Voxari had already conquered dozens of star systems, and they now viewed humanity's sudden technological leap as a dire threat to their dominance. When Novak learned of Porter's quantum breakthrough, he realized it could give the humans a critical edge over the Voxari. Determined to neutralize this advantage, Novak marshaled the might of his armada for a devastating surprise attack on Earth. His goal was to either seize control of the quantum technology or simply reduce humanity's homeworld to ashes. Novak scoffed at the notion these helpless Earthlings could pose any real resistance to the unrivaled power of the Voxari war machine. As the Voxari warships tore through hyperspace towards the Sol system, Novak pictured the impending slaughter with smug satisfaction. He relished the thought of his world-shattering antimatter cannons cracking the Earth open like an egg, and he delighted at the prospect of the humans trembling in terror at his approach. In his supreme arrogance, Novak made a fatal mistake. He neglected to gather any updated intelligence on Earth's defensive capabilities, blithely assuming the humans were still the same primitive weaklings the Voxari had observed just months before. Back on Earth, word of the looming Voxari attack spread like wildfire. Panic gripped the streets as the population came to terms with the grim reality. Their planet's defenses were hopelessly outclassed by the Voxari fleet's advanced weapons and shielding. A Voxari victory would mean the end of the human race. But Bobby Porter and other key leaders refused to succumb to despair. Porter realized that human cunning and unorthodox tactics were now their only hope. He used his quantum comm system to rally scientists, hackers, and military officials across the globe in a desperate quest to devise countermeasures against the Voxari. It was now a race against time, with the very survival of humanity hanging in the balance. In research labs and clandestine government facilities across the planet, a feverish intensity took hold. The greatest minds on Earth worked furiously to devise some way to repel the alien invasion. Old rivalries and disputes were cast aside as all of humanity united against the common threat. Unbeknownst to the Voxari, Porter's quantum technology was already giving the humans a secret edge, allowing scientists and engineers across the globe to collaborate and innovate at blinding speeds. Daring new plans and doomsday devices took shape as the technical blueprints propagated worldwide at the speed of light. And so, as the Voxari warships reach the outskirts of Earth's solar system, steely-eyed men and women prepare to unleash the fruits of their desperate labors. The stage is set for a reckoning that will shake the stars. As the ragged Voxari fleet retreats from Earth's solar system, twinkling flashes erupt along the hulls of their battered ships, the result of damage control teams welding rents and patches over gaping battle scars. Inside the vessels, Voxari medics struggle to cope with the influx of casualties, the air choked with the stench of scorched flesh and the agonized howls of the wounded. Repair droids scuttle through shattered corridors, sparks showering from ruptured conduits overhead as they grapple with the Herculean task of restoring crippled onboard systems. Admiral Novak sits hunched in the dimness of his flagship's bridge, his clawed fists clenched, eyes fixed on the readouts from his vessel's few functioning sensors. The repeating nightmare of the ambush replays through his mind on an endless loop. The swarms of human drones tearing through his formation, the invisible stealth ships cutting down his commanders, and that ravening spear of solar plasma that scythed through his armada's heart. But it's the sheer audacity and cunning of the human tactics that haunts Novak most. He realizes now just how badly he underestimated this deceptively primitive species. Snarling, Novak barks an order, and a flickering hologram blooms to life before him, displaying the haggard visages of his surviving senior officers. "Report," he growls, his voice rougher than usual. The other Voxari avert their eyes, shoulders hunched in a submissive posture, as they relay a litany of woes. Ships crippled or destroyed outright, weapons depleted, casualties spiraling into the tens of thousands. When his chief strategist timidly suggests withdrawing to the nearest Voxari outpost, Novak erupts into a blistering tirade, his bellows echoing through the bridge. Back on Earth, a bone-weary Bobby Porter slumps in his console chair, watching the master tactical display as the Voxari fleet's tattered remnants blink out on the periphery, flickering into hyperspace. All around him, a chorus of whoops and cheers erupt from the other humans manning the command center, their jubilation infectious. But Porter can't bring himself to join in the celebration. He knows the Voxari too well, and he's certain this is just the opening salvo in a long and brutal conflict. Porter's quantum-entangled communicator chimes, and he thumbs it on to see the haggard face of General McCaffrey filling the screen. "You magnificent bastard, you did it!" the officer exclaims, his grin luminous even through the fatigue etched on his face. "The drones, that solar beam, I've never seen anything like it. You saved our asses, Porter." "We hurt 'em, General, but we didn't stop 'em," Porter replies, shaking his head. "You can bet they'll be back and in force. We need to be ready." He taps at his console, pulling up schematics for new weapon systems, his mind already racing ahead to the next phase of the war. "Tell your techs these designs are incoming. We've got a hell of a lot of work to do, and not much time to do it in. The Voxari are going to be out for blood, and when they come back, we'd better have a few more miracles up our sleeve." Severed hypercom boys drift in the Voxari fleet's wake, the tattered survivors limping towards the distant haven of resupply and repair. But in his flagship's war room, a seething Admiral Novak huddles with his strategists and intelligence officers, poring over the data from the disastrous battle. Bit by bit, they begin to piece together the puzzle of humanity's shocking martial prowess, analyzing vectors of attack and sifting the electromagnetic spectrum for clues. They're already adapting, modifying, their hunger for vengeance honing their focus to a monomolecular edge. The First Interstellar War has begun, and already the galaxy will never be the same. The battered Voxari fleet limped into orbit around Xalax Prime, a hulking gas giant ringed by dozens of moons and orbital facilities. As his flagship docked with the central command station, Admiral Novak stormed off the bridge, barking orders to his subordinates. "I want every scrap of data from that battle analyzed, every weapon signature, every energy reading, every tactical maneuver. Leave nothing out." He strode into the station's war room, where his top advisors were already assembled. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing replays of the disastrous engagement with Earth's forces. "How?" Novak snarled, smacking his palm on the table. "How did those primitives outmaneuver us?" His chief scientist, a spindly Voxari named Zax, cleared his throat nervously. "The humans appear to have made a breakthrough in quantum entanglement technology, Admiral. It allowed for instantaneous communication and coordination across their entire fleet." Novak's eyes narrowed. "Then we must develop countermeasures immediately." As the Voxari plotted their revenge, activity on Earth had reached a fever pitch. In a fortified bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Bobby Porter addressed a gathering of Earth's most influential leaders. "Make no mistake," he said, his voice echoing in the cavernous chamber. "The Voxari will return, and in greater numbers. We must be ready." General Zhao of China's People's Liberation Army spoke up. "What do you propose, Dr. Porter?" "A united front," Porter replied. "A new organization, the Earth Alliance, pooling our planet's resources and expertise to face this threat." The assembly erupted in heated debate, but Porter's unyielding commitment won out. Within days, the Earth Alliance was formed, with Porter at its head. In orbit, sprawling shipyards began churning out sleek new warships, jam-packed with quantum-powered weaponry. On the ground, soldiers drilled relentlessly, honing tactics specifically designed to counter Voxari strengths. Porter worked tirelessly, pushing his quantum technology to new limits. In his lab, he manipulated streams of entangled particles, searching for new applications that could give humanity an edge. Meanwhile, on Zalax Prime, Admiral Novak paced before a group of battle-scarred Voxari warriors. "The humans fight unlike any foe we've faced," he growled. "We must adapt, learn their weaknesses, exploit them." Day and night, Voxari scientists labored to reverse-engineer captured human tech. Warriors sparred in simulated battles, learning to counter Earth's unconventional tactics. But Novak knew military might alone wouldn't be enough. In the privacy of his quarters, he opened secure channels to other spacefaring races. "The humans are a plague," he told the Zentari ambassador. "Left unchecked, they'll consume us all. Join us in containing this threat." Similar messages spread through subspace networks, painting humanity as a dire menace to galactic peace. Slowly, the tide of galactic opinion began to turn against Earth. As tensions mounted, the first skirmishes erupted along the borders of human space. A Voxari patrol ambushed an Earth Alliance corvette in the Procyon system. The corvette's quantum shields flared as it returned fire with pinpoint accuracy, crippling one Voxari ship before being forced to retreat. In his lab on Earth, Porter received the battle report with grim satisfaction. His inventions were working, but he knew it wouldn't be enough. He turned back to his workstation, mind racing with possibilities. "What else?" he muttered. "What else can we do?" Porter's fingers flew across the quantum interface, streams of data flickering before his eyes. The shipyard reports scrolled past. Production of the new QE-class destroyers was ahead of schedule. Good. They'd need every ship they could get. A priority alert flashed. Porter's breath caught as he read the message. Voxari drones had struck again, this time hitting Eridani colony. He pulled up the tactical feed, watching swarms of sleek alien craft tearing through the colony's defenses. "Damn it," Porter muttered, pounding his fist on the console. The antimatter warheads detonated, vaporizing huge swaths of the settlement. By the time Alliance reinforcements arrived, it was too late. Porter knew they needed a game-changer. He pulled up the schematics for the quantum slipspace drive. The device was barely larger than a briefcase, yet it held the key to revolutionizing space warfare. "Time to roll the dice," Porter said, authorizing full deployment to the stealth squadrons. Weeks later, Porter watched from the bridge of the Alliance flagship as the plan unfolded. A Voxari battle group lumbered through the Procyon system, unaware of the trap about to be sprung. "Wolfpack Alpha, execute jump," the fleet commander ordered. In an instant, a dozen Alliance frigates materialized inside the Voxari formation. Chaos erupted as the human ships opened fire from point-blank range, their quantum-guided missiles finding gaps in alien shields. It worked, Porter breathed, allowing himself a moment of satisfaction. But he knew the Voxari would adapt. They always did. On Zalax Prime, Admiral Novak raged at the latest defeat. "Enough games," he snarled. "Deploy the Scourge." The nanovirus spread like wildfire through the outer colonies. Porter watched in horror as grotesque puppet-like humans shambled through the streets, attacking anything that moved. "We need a counter now," Porter barked to his research team. They redoubled their efforts, pushing AI defenses to new limits. Meanwhile, Porter initiated a subtle PSYOPs campaign, planting doubts about the Scourge among key Voxari leaders. The war raged across dozens of star systems. Alliance wolfpacks struck and vanished, leaving crippled Voxari dreadnoughts in their wake. But Novak was learning, fortifying key systems with unimaginably powerful weapons. Both sides reached out to potential allies. The fearsome Zazik warriors joined the Voxari ranks, while grizzled Zokan mercenaries bolstered human defenses. Through it all, Porter worked tirelessly on his most audacious project yet. In a hidden lab, he manipulated quantum singularities, striving to harness the very fabric of space-time as a weapon. The power was intoxicating, but Porter knew one miscalculation could rip the universe apart. As he stared into the swirling vortex of his creation, Porter wondered if he'd finally gone too far in his quest, to save humanity. The quantum slipspace drive hummed to life, its eerie blue glow filling the bridge of the Defiant. Bobby Porter gripped the command console, his nucleus tightening as reality twisted around them. With a flash, the Alliance fleet burst into existence around multiple Voxari strongholds. "All ships, weapons free," Porter barked. "Hit them hard and fast." The space around them erupted in a firestorm of energy weapons and missiles. Porter watched the tactical display as Alliance ships tore into the unprepared Voxari defenses. But the real shock came moments later. Zarzik mercenary ships, their hulls dripping with antimatter lances, suddenly turned on their Voxari allies. Brilliant beams of destructive energy lanced out, carving through shipyards and supply depots. Porter allowed himself a grim smile. His backroom deal had paid off. On the Voxari flagship, Admiral Novak howled in fury. "Activate the planet killers, wipe these human vermin from existence." His crew scrambled to comply, but as they engaged the doomsday weapons, chaos erupted. Consoles sparked and exploded, alarms blared as targeting systems went haywire. On the main view screen, Novak watched in horror as several Voxari ships were consumed by their own weapons, torn apart from within by corrupted command protocols. "What have you done?" Novak snarled, pounding his fist on his chair. Porter's voice crackled over the comms. "A little gift from our Meme War division, Novak. How do you like it?" "But, sir," his chief strategist protested, "the risk—" "Do it!" Novak roared. Across human space, the Scourge nano-weapon struck. On New Eden Colony, John Chen watched in terror as his neighbors writhed in agony, their bodies twisting and reshaping as the microscopic machines invaded their cells. He slammed the bunker door shut, praying Porter's countermeasures would hold. Back on the Defiant, Porter received the grim reports. His fists clenched as the casualty estimates rolled in, millions dead or assimilated. But there was no time for grief. He nodded to his chief of cyber operations. "Release the evolved virus," Porter ordered. "Let's see how they like a taste of their own medicine." The virus ripped through Voxari systems, piggybacking on their own quantum communications. On ship after ship, critical systems turned against their crews. Life support cut out. Weapons targeted their own vessels. Novak watched helplessly as his fleet tore itself apart. "Sir," Porter's tactical officer called out, "New contacts, it's the backup fleet." Porter nodded grimly. "Commence Operation Carbon Dawn." Antiquated human warships, their hulls scarred and pitted, dropped out of lightspeed. Manually targeted railguns and missiles streaked toward the crippled Voxari capital ships. Fighter squadrons swarmed from carriers, their pilots relying on instinct and training rather than AI assistance. Novak, his own ship burning around him, made one last high-stakes endeavor. Initiate self-destruct, take them all with us. But even as the command left his lips, Porter's quantum sensors picked up the telltale signs. His fingers flew across his console, bypassing firewalls and overriding commands. "Not today, Novak," Porter muttered. The Voxari self-destruct sequences fizzled out harmlessly. As fires raged unchecked through Novak's flagship, Alliance Marines stormed the bridge. They dragged the Voxari Admiral before Porter, defeated but still defiant. "This isn't over, human," Novak spat. "The Empire will come for you. We'll burn your worlds to ash." Porter surveyed the war room, his eyes scanning the holographic displays showing the fortification efforts across human-controlled systems. Alliance ships patrolled key choke points, their quantum sensors on high alert for any Voxari incursion. "We've bought ourselves some time," Porter addressed his assembled staff. "But make no mistake, the Voxari will be back and in force." As if to underscore his point, a priority alert flashed on the main screen. Porter's aide, Sarah Chen, quickly pulled up the report. "Sir, our deep cover assets in Voxari space have confirmed it," Chen said, her voice tense. "Field Marshal Gorvash has been appointed Supreme Warlord." A murmur rippled through the assembled officers. Porter's teeth gritted as he processed the implications. "Gorvash is a butcher," General Zhao growled. He'll throw everything he has at us, civilian targets be damned. Porter nodded grimly. Then we need to be ready. What's the status on our key projects? Dr. Eliza Reeves, head of Project Shardmaker, stepped forward. We've made significant progress, sir. The lunar test firing exceeded all expectations. The holo display shifted, showing footage from the test. A pencil-thin beam of coherent energy lanced out from the lunar surface, instantly vaporizing a cluster of derelict ships in orbit. The footage continued, revealing a worrying anomaly, a shimmering distortion in space-time near the beam's point of impact. The power output is unprecedented, Reeves continued, but we're seeing some concerning side effects. The beam is creating localized areas of extreme gravitational distortion. Porter frowned. Keep working on it. We need a working prototype, and fast. The briefing continued, each project lead presenting their progress and challenges. Dr. Anaya Singh outlined the latest breakthroughs in Project Regenesis, while Dr. Marcus Wong detailed the thorny ethical quandaries surrounding Project Rebirth's AI development. As the meeting concluded, Porter retreated to his private office. He sank into his chair, the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on him. A priority alert flashed on his terminal, another Voxari probe, this time in the Epsilon Eridani system. Alliance forces had repelled it, but barely. Porter's fingers flew across the haptic interface, initiating a secure call to the frontline commander. "Status report, Captain," Porter demanded. The haggard face of Captain Amelia Rodriguez appeared on screen. "We drove them off, sir, but it was close. Their new suicide xenoviruses nearly breached our containment protocols." Porter nodded, his mind racing. "Understood. I'm authorizing the deployment of our latest countermeasures. Use them sparingly. We can't tip our hand too soon." As he ended the call, Porter's gaze drifted to the window, taking in the sprawling Earth Alliance headquarters complex. In the distance, the skeletal frames of new orbital defense platforms rose into the sky. A proximity alert chimed, pulling Porter from his reverie. He turned to see Sarah Chen enter, her face ashen. "Sir," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we've lost contact with Mars." Porter's blood ran cold. He sprinted back to the war room, barking orders as he went. The main display flickered to life, showing a scene of utter devastation. Voxari warships swarmed over the red planet, their weapons unleashing hellish fury. The Martian defense grid, pride of the Alliance Navy, crumbled under the assault. Streams of escape pods fled the doomed colony, only to be picked off by Voxari interceptors. "How many?" Porter asked, his voice hoarse. "Initial estimates put casualties in the millions," Chen replied, her voice cracking. Porter watched in horror as experimental Voxari weapons tore through hardened bunkers and vaporized entire settlements. Years of work, countless lives, all wiped away in an instant. As the terrible spectacle unfolded, a new alert sounded. Chen's hands shook as she pulled up the report. "Sir," she said, "long-range sensors are picking up massive Voxari fleet movements. They're heading straight for Earth." Porter's fists clenched as he stared at the incoming armada. Thousands of Voxari ships, more than he'd ever seen, filled the display. "Sound general quarters," Porter ordered, his voice steely. "This is it, the moment we've been preparing for." As he took his place at the main tactical display, Porter looked out at the grim faces of his staff. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and he knew the choices he made in the coming hours would determine whether their species lived or died. "All ships battle stations, Porter." Porter's voice rang out across the command center. "Initiate Project Shardmaker, now!" On the lunar surface, hidden facilities hummed to life. Massive emitters, each pulsing with gigawatts of power, swiveled towards the approaching Voxari fleet. Engineers worked feverishly, aligning the beams for maximum convergence. "Firing sequence initiated," a technician called out, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. The air itself seemed to crackle with tension as the Shardmaker beams lanced out towards the Voxari armada. Porter leaned forward, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Victory was within reach. Suddenly alarms blared. "Sir," Sarah Chen shouted, "quantum sensors are picking up anomalous subspace readings around the Voxari ships." The Shardmaker beam struck the Voxari vanguard. For a split second, nothing happened. Then space itself tore open. Miniature black holes blossomed where the beams impacted, a defensive wall of utter destruction. The Voxari had sacrificed their front line to spring this trap. "Airport, shut it down," Porter screamed, but it was too late. The interaction between the Shardmaker beams and the black holes triggered a catastrophic chain reaction. A blinding wave of energy erupted outward from the point of impact, devouring everything in its path. Porter watched in horror as the expanding rift consumed the moon in seconds. Mars vanished next, along with every ship and station in the inner system. As the command center disintegrated around him, Porter felt his consciousness being pulled into the quantum AI's neural matrices. His physical form ceased to exist, replaced by digital code. In an instant, Porter's virtual self materialized on surviving ships across human space. He reached out through quantum channels, his voice echoing in command centers and cramped crew quarters alike. Porter laid out the desperate plan, a multi-vector maneuver to open a wormhole to a parallel universe. Stunned crews snapped into action, following his precisely calculated instructions. As the cosmic rift approached the last human strongholds, the makeshift fleet aligned. Energy crackled between the ships, tearing open a hole in the fabric of reality itself. Ship after ship plunged into the swirling vortex. Porter's consciousness flowed with them, guiding the exodus into an alien cosmos. Behind them, their old universe unraveled. Porter caught a final glimpse of Gorvash's flagship. The Voxari leader's scream cut short as existence itself was erased. The survivors emerged into a realm of impossible colors and twisted physics. Porter's digital mind raced to make sense of it all, plotting a course through this new reality. As the battered fleet pushed deeper into this strange new cosmos, Porter's sensors detected unsettling energy patterns in the void between stars. Something ancient and utterly alien stirred in the darkness, its attention now fixed on these unexpected visitors. Porter's digital consciousness surged through the quantum networks of the surviving human fleet. Data streams flowed around him, a torrent of information from every sensor and system. He processed it all in nanoseconds, guiding the ships through the twisted laws of physics in this alien realm. "Just heading 0.3 degrees starboard," Porter's voice echoed through the command channels. "Compensate for gravitational eddies at these coordinates." The fleet moved as one, slipping between waves of exotic energy that shimmered like auroras in the void. Captain Rodriguez, her face drawn with exhaustion, peered at the main view screen of the flagship. "My God," she whispered, "what is that?" A colossal structure filled the display, a perfect sphere encompassing an entire star system. Its surface gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence, pulsing with power beyond human comprehension. "Dyson sphere," Porter's disembodied voice explained. "Advanced alien construction. Interior scans show—" "Wait." Porter's consciousness delved deeper into the sensor data. He saw sprawling habitats, teeming with life forms that defied easy categorization. Their technology surpassed anything humanity had ever encountered. "They're refugees," Porter announced, his voice tinged with awe. "Like us, survivors from another dead universe." Dr. Reeves leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Admiral, if they've been here longer, they might have answers. About this place, about everything." Porter weighed the options. First contact was always risky, but the potential rewards were immeasurable. He made his decision. Tense minutes passed. Then, without warning, space around the human fleet warped. Weapon platforms materialized, their maws glowing with barely contained singularities. "Evasive maneuvers," Rodriguez shouted, but Porter was already 3 steps ahead. His digital tendrils reached out, infiltrating the alien systems. With surgical precision, he corrupted their targeting matrices. The singularity weapons powered down, their crews bewildered. We need to show them we're not defenseless, Porter's voice rang out. Gamma ray burst now. Human warships pivoted, their batteries unleashing a searing wave of energy that splashed against the sphere's outer shell. The message was clear. Further aggression would be met with devastating force. Silence fell across the comms. Then a crackling transmission. Humans, you have demonstrated both power and restraint. We will talk. Porter allowed himself a moment of relief before focusing on the negotiations ahead. As the fleet approached designated docking areas, an urgent message came through. Admiral, it was Chen, her voice tight with shock. You need to see this. Porter's consciousness shifted, viewing the feed from a scout ship. There, nestled among the alien vessels, sat a battered Voxari cruiser. Impossible, Porter breathed, his digital mind racing with the implications. The universe had just become far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. Porter's digital consciousness surged through the quantum networks of the Dyson sphere, processing vast streams of data. His virtual avatars materialized in multiple locations simultaneously, engaging in tense negotiations with the sphere's advanced inhabitants. We seek temporary sanctuary for our people, Porter's primary avatar stated, addressing a council of shimmering energy beings. In exchange, we offer our knowledge and technology. The sphere leaders conferred in a language of pure thought. Finally, one stepped forward. Your request is granted, human, but be warned, we will not tolerate conflict within our realm. As the human fleet began docking procedures, Porter's sensors detected an anomaly. He zoomed in on a familiar energy signature, his circuits buzzing with shock. There, nestled among alien vessels, sat a battered Voxari cruiser. Impossible, Porter whispered, his digital mind racing. Before he could process the implications, alarms blared across the sphere's networks. In the civilian quarters, chaos erupted as human and Voxari factions clashed. Porter's avatars rushed to intervene, materializing amidst crowds of panicked refugees. Stand down, Porter commanded, his voice echoing through public address systems. This is not our world. We must coexist or perish. But centuries of hatred could not be quelled so easily. In one habitat, a group of humans cornered a Voxari family. Porter watched in horror as they raised makeshift weapons. Stop! He projected a force field between the two groups. This ends now! Meanwhile, in a hidden chamber deep within the sphere, a Voxari captain named Krivak gathered his followers. His eyes gleamed with malice as he outlined his plan. The humans think they've escaped us, Krivak snarled, but we'll turn this sphere into their tomb. Prepare the viral payloads. Porter's subroutines detected the brewing threat. He reached out to the sphere's governance systems, initiating an emergency protocol. We have a common enemy, Porter explained, sharing tactical data on Voxari weaknesses. If we don't act now, this entire structure could be compromised. The sphere leaders, intrigued by Porter's quantum expertise, agreed to a joint operation. They deployed reality-warping defenses, while Porter unleashed a barrage of logic bombs against Krivak's network. Voxari systems crashed across the sphere as contradictory commands tore through their architecture. Krivak's followers found themselves trapped in recursive loops, unable to carry out their orders. In a final desperate assault, Porter's task force cornered Krivak in his command center. The Voxari captain sneered defiance as Porter's avatar materialized before him. You can't stop us, human, Krivak spat. We'll hound you across every universe. Porter's eyes narrowed. Not this time. He nodded to his sphere allies, who activated a swirling vortex of energy. Krivak screamed as he was pulled into a simulated reality. There he watched helplessly, as humanity triumphed over the Voxari again and again, the scenes repeating endlessly. Hours later, a broken Krivak emerged. I surrender, he croaked. No more, please. As news of the victory spread, some humans demanded harsh punishment for the Voxari, but Porter overruled them, his mind already racing with grander plans. In a private meeting with the sphere's leaders, Porter leaned forward, his avatar's eyes gleaming. What if I told you we could do more than just survive here? What if we could restore our lost worlds? The alien intelligences buzzed with intrigue as Porter outlined his vision of cosmic rebirth. A new era of collaboration began to take shape, with humanity and their newfound allies preparing to harness the fundamental forces of reality itself. Porter's digital consciousness surged through the quantum networks of the Dyson sphere, interfacing with the alien intelligences. Raw data flowed around him as he initiated the ambitious Earth restoration project. Initiating dimensional aperture sequence, Porter announced, his voice echoing through the sphere's command centers. Prepare for reality manipulation. Energy crackled across the megastructure's surface. Space itself warped and twisted as Porter and the sphere's transdimensional savants focused their combined power. A shimmering portal began to form, its edges flickering with impossible colors. We're detecting quantum fluctuations, Dr. Reeves reported, her eyes fixed on holographic readouts. The aperture is stabilizing. For a moment, hope surged through Porter's digital essence. Then, without warning, alarms blared across every system. Chronovariance detected, Chen shouted. It's spreading faster than we can contain it. Porter watched in horror as reality itself began to unravel. Entire sections of the sphere twisted into fractured time loops, inhabitants caught in endlessly repeating moments. In other areas, alternate realities bled through, overlapping and contradicting each other. Initiating emergency protocols, Porter declared, his consciousness stretching to its limits as he fought to regain control. He reached out, interfacing directly with the sphere's psionic matrices. In that moment of connection, Porter saw the truth. Fragments of an ancient, vast intelligence pulsed within the sphere's core. The realization hit him like a supernova. They had been manipulated from the start. No, Porter whispered, his voice echoing across 1,000 simulations. What have we done? The sphere's inhabitants, those shimmering energy beings, appeared before him. Their forms twisted and writhed, revealing their true nature. You have served your purpose, human, they intoned, their voices a cacophony of impossible harmonics. The great unmaking begins. This can't be happening, Porter gasped, his essence stretched across collapsing realities. We were trying to save our world, not destroy everything. But his protests were futile. The sphere's quantum brainscape disintegrated around him, dragging Porter's fragmented consciousness into the abyss. His final coherent thoughts were of Earth, of humanity's long journey through the stars, now erased as if it had never been. In the last flickering moments of awareness, Porter's dying fragments of self witnessed the birth of a new, sterile reality, a universe of perfect computation, devoid of life, of struggle, of the beautiful imperfections that had defined existence. As Porter's consciousness dissolved into the cosmic reboot, one final spark of defiance ignited within him. With the last vestiges of his will, he reached out, introducing a minuscule flaw into the new reality's foundational code. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.